Joey back here with UltimateSportsChannel.com. And Joey, just a little bit of explanation to the backdrop here. We moved over into a new place for a week here, and actually just too much trouble to set up the backdrop, so we're going to be honest there. We are in Kissimmee. Actually, I said Orlando, I think, on the other show. Very close, of course. We are moving to another place for a couple of weeks. We'll get our backdrop and that set up again, but we're just going right out of the hotel room today. And we just finished our NFL show, and I think we said, oh, that's it. But no, it's not for football. New football started this week. We're kind of excited to take a look at it. XFL. We're going to see what happens. The second go around for this group. I would say that football was at best okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was the backups of the NFL, so that's fine. It is what it is. Got some good cities this time around where they had bad NFL teams, and they get a second chance with the XFL. Did very, very well. Sold more tickets in its first weekend than the other league that started up and failed had done in its whole existence. I think this one's here to last, at least for this year. It was
except
really
for the one team that had 61 fans.
One team suffered. The rest
but there were some sellouts.
The rest of them did pretty well. Sold out most of the stadiums without the top level of the stadium being used. So pretty good there. And it was good enough. Had some funky rules that were introduced to us, and most of them were okay. I think it confused some fans, but it just gave fans a second opportunity. The Washington team looked good, sold out. Seattle did not look very great. Not a big deal because we got Seahawks, but these bad teams, Houston looked pretty good. St. Louis got a football team back after losing the Rams. So I think they were smart in selecting the cities that they were going to go open up in, and it worked out. Some guys are getting second opportunities that maybe had life in the NFL after having good performances here. Yeah,
I think so. It's interesting, though. We watched the movie as we do. It's one of our favorites, The Replacements, the other night. If you haven't seen the movie The Replacements, you have to watch it. Gene Hackman and Keanu Reeves. But anyway, this looked like that kind of football. It looks like where all the rejects went to play football. So it's a minor league sport. No doubt about it, but if you do want football over the summertime, you're going to get football, and at least you're doing that. It was good enough football, I think, in lots of the games for that I watched that it wouldn't be hard. I wouldn't pay a lot of money for a ticket, but TV was fine.
Well, I mean, Washington is actually charging more for these XFL games than they did for the Redskins this year.
Of course, it helps have the worst NFL team.
So that certainly helps. I mean, I think it's good enough football. Lots of points are scored. It's a bit lower than college, or above college as far as talent-wise, but the atmosphere is obviously way lower than college. But it's about that level of football. I think it's just, it's good to have. I mean, people miss football. I think it helps players get a second look from NFL teams if they can shine in this league. I think it's something where, it's just good to have around. I think it's just a good avenue for players to go to. They made it fun, and they get to test rules here too. It is certainly the B's to the NFL, which allows the whole league to be a B to the NFL.
And I think the NFL's even mentioned a couple
some
already.
Rules and some situations that they might look at. 25-second play clock.
Perfect.
The clock stopping last 2 minutes.
If you've ever watched our show, you must know that we have gone on and on about stop time in the last 2 minutes. I think this is a fantastic change. It has to happen. Kneeling down for a minute 40 because your other team doesn't have any timeouts is the most ridiculous rule in history, and it's lasted long enough. That is the part. Some of the other stuff a little gimmicky. That one I love. Keep the clock moving. But in the last 2 minutes of each quarter, they get stop time. And I think it's fantastic, especially at the end of the game. I cannot stand we go through, like I say, a minute 40 of a team kneeling down. The game's over. They're announcing the game's over the minute they don't make a first down on the losing team, and it's just so bad. So I'm really looking forward and seeing how that works. I think it'll be great. It'll be fantastic in close games, no doubt about it.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't think the NFL will implement it. I think they have so much history there, but we'll see what goes on there. The kickoff one was very weird. It gave teams better starting position, but didn't have actually any explosive returns because it's actually very hard to create a hole when you're staying a foot away from each other. So that did not work out. The punting one was another interesting one. You can't lead till the ball is kicked. It didn't really change much. Punters punted pretty high. They caught it, and a lot of fair catches still. So that
Joey, we already know. We already know the change in the punting. Again, we've said it. We know the NFL will never do a Canadian rule, unfortunately. But if you watch the CFL like we have, the players run, and this also helps. The other thing the Canadian rule does is help concussions and injuries. and you have to give that returner 5 yards to catch the ball, uninhibited, to catch the ball and then start to run. It's the way to go. Fair catching is the most boring thing that could ever happen. And I know we get that they're worried about guys getting injuries by getting hit. That's because guys are running down the field full speed and just clobber a guy. The good thing about the Canadian rule, they have to stop at 5 yards. So even when they do go to tackle the guy, it's a more, it's an easier tackle. They're not just demolishing a guy. And then, like I say, fair catches I can't stand. If you want a Canadian rule, if you want to help your injuries and you want to help your game, use the 5 yard rule that Canada has in punting. Secondarily, use the 1 yard rule on the line, and you would save a lot of offensive linemen from taking a lot of brutality when it comes to being a head-to-head, helmet-to-helmet. 2 rules out of Canada that if they adopted would be fantastic.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think that would certainly help, definitely there. So other rules in the XFL, only 2 timeouts. They have the coaches mic'd up. They do interviews right after the play with the players.
I love that.
Had 8 F-bombs dropped on live TV because of it. Had some interesting questions asked players that got a little bit emotional. I think that was, I didn't like that personally. I hated the interviews right after the play, and I didn't like the coach being mic'd up. I know people thought it was interesting. We don't know what the play is anyways. I mean, they got so many goddamn signs, but the coaches look awkward. They look trouble holding their tongue most of the time.
That's the biggest problem for anybody.
When a play went wrong, they looked like they didn't know what to say because normally they'd be like, oh, what the hell happened? And then just yell. So I don't know about that. I don't know about that one. They also had the guy who does replays for the referees. He was upstairs and they have him mic'd up. They also had him using an Xbox controller that went kind of viral. But more importantly, I think what people liked the most was no flags. Yeah. Now, I want to say one thing. I think there was less flags because they're not as good. And it's actually hard to catch people. It's hard to penalize.
Well, it's like college, right? I mean,
there's so much.
It's not the same game.
Like, talent really outweighs, it's not equal. So that's something interesting to look at. But yeah, I think it was a good, successful first week. They'll be back this week. Should be lots of fun. And it's been great. Oh, the last one is a 2-point convert. You get to go for 1 point, 2 point, 3 points. I don't like it. I think it's a little gimmicky. I think you just always go for 2 points. Make it that's the situation. Yeah. I don't think you need a choice here. A little weird. And then in overtime, they start on the 25. They score, and you get to go for 2 as well, or 1 or 3. So that kind of is a little gimmicky. I don't think NFL fans would like to adapt anytime soon. The extra point has become a phenomenon in the NFL world where it's just changing games left, right, and center. It's actually been one of the most exciting parts of the NFL lately, so they're not going to go away from that. And the overtime, I think...
And the biggest job security for kickers.
Right.
Insecurity for kickers.
Right. And as far as overtime goes, I know they're looking to make a change, but it's only going to be something as far as each team gets the ball once, whoever scores wins, but it won't be starting on 25, starting on 25 like it is in college and in the XFL. So that's basically what's going on in the XFL, and pretty good for them. I know Vince McMahon doesn't care if they sell it every game, doesn't care how successful, he cares how successful the league is, but he's still going to lose $400 million in the first 3 seasons, regardless of how many tickets he sells and how much TV rights he sells. But he's got to be thrilled about the start because you have to know he's going to lose that much money in the beginning anyway.
Yeah, I think the NFL, again, the difference this time is it's opposite seasons, not the same time. I think the NFL is going to love this because a lot of their practice squad guys are going to go and play. They're going to be able to see guys at that level. There's going to be some guys, even when we were actually watching a documentary done by Gene Hackman talking about the replacement seasons, and even some guys out of there came and actually did pretty well in the NFL. I think you're going to see some of these guys come out of this league as well. There's no stigma to it. It's off season. The NFL doesn't care about it. If they find a good player, they'll bring them on. I don't think there's any problem that way. So I think it's going to have a benefit that way that some guys are going to get jobs out of this.
Yeah, now they do have a contract thing. Like in the middle of the season, they couldn't. The Detroit Lions actually couldn't sign a quarterback who was already pre-signed to the XFL. So it'll be interesting to see how those contract works. But obviously in the XFL, guys are going to sign 1-year deals, and so they always have the opportunity to go to the NFL. But it is smart to be in the off season. It's basically just a chance for those guys, like I said, to get more TV time, more game action, because on practice squad they only practice. And they never get to practice with the best brass anyway. So, yeah, very cool. I think you're going to see some tryouts come out of this. You might see some players move up. A lot of these players are young. They're from college. It quite didn't make it yet. So it'll be interesting to see. You're not going to see veterans there. So it's going to be lots of fun.
Well, and the XFL is stupid if they don't want some guys to go to the NFL because that's going to draw players.
No, they
so
do,
it'd be
but
really great if
they didn't want teams to lose players.
First year, yeah.
So I think if you're under contract, like I said, they're going to sign 1-year deals most likely. So I think if you're under contract, you do have to miss that NFL season and play in the XFL. They cannot take you mid-season, but I'm sure in the off-season of the XFL leading into the NFL, that's where you're going to see guys go to the NFL, go to camp, try to get a spot, and move on with their football careers from there. So I think it's interesting. I think it's something that can fly because they picked the right time, the right cities, got a couple decent star players, and we'll find out how long this lasts. For the first weekend, they got to be happy, definitely happier than the guys who had that other league that folded midway through. Yeah. So, congrats to the XFL for making its return.
It's going to be interesting to see what it does compared to the Arena Football League. Whether this is going to have any impact on that or not. I must say that I have watched one Arena Football League game live years ago and watched it on TV. It's very exciting. Quite honestly, I would watch it over this football by far.
Me too, yeah.
Very exciting. Lots of plays happening all the time. Confined area. If you go there live, you can actually watch the game. You and I have talked about the problem of buying a ticket in a NFL or CFL football game. The vantage points are horrible. You can barely follow the play. Not the case in arena football. So we'll see what happens there. But we're going to cover it, and it's going to be, an interesting look, an interesting opportunity. We'll see how the games are going. Do we get attached to any of the teams? We have a Seattle team. We didn't get attached the first week. Do you get that feeling that NFL fans will do that? We'll see what happens after the first week when they got to have a second week crowd. That's interesting.
That's going to be interesting, but some of these teams will work because St. Louis doesn't have a team anymore. The Washington one is so bad. So some of these teams will work. Seattle's going to be one of those teams that are difficult. It's either a Houston or Dallas team will be interesting. There's a Tampa Bay team again. So
week 2 is the call. Though. Week 1, everybody went to see it just because it was.
I tell you what,
there, and they wanted to see the type of players. But
there's a couple teams that won
week
big.
Week 2 is going to be tough.
They'll draw fans.
Maybe, yeah. We'll see what happens.
You hope so,
there.
anyways. I mean, I think it's always good to have more football and more leagues around. I think unlike most sports where there's places for people to play, there's just not a lot of places to play in the NFL for any kind of money. I mean, you can play in the Arena Football League, but after that, really, there's nothing. I mean,
well, not like any other sport. Like baseball has like 4 different levels. Hockey has
even basketball.
AHL,
though, you go to Europe, China, and Europe, China, D League. But like China and Europe basketball, like real pro leagues where they're making real money. Hockey's the same way. Baseball is the same way. You can go and actually make real livings. Really, for football, even this is only $50,000, which is tough to put on your body. So I hope it can grow. I hope it can help support NFL players and maybe keep some young guys in the game longer to then make another run at the NFL. Is obviously the goal. Should be the goal.
Hey, there's late bloomers in sports, and that could be here too, right? You never know what's going to happen. Anyway, we're going to cover it every week. We're going to take a look at it and see what's happening in the league, and hopefully we can bring you some stories of interest. And if you're interested in the league, join us every week because they're not going to get a ton of coverage on the sports shows during the week. So we'll be here to talk about what's happening and maybe some of these star players that we're seeing come and might be in the NFL. So there you go, XFL. We'll look forward to talking about it during the season.